We maintain a warning system that serves the city of Tulsa and some of the unincorporated area of Tulsa County. We have 89 sirens in our warning system. We use it primarily for about four things. First, we have the tornado siren that is used for tornadoes and high winds gusting 80 miles an hour or above. That is a steady tone. We have the flood siren that we use for major flooding, not just street flooding, but flooding where the creeks are getting out of their banks or the Arkansas River is flooding and structures are threatened. That is a high-low tone, often referred to as sounding like a British ambulance tone. And then we have the long wavering tone that would be used for nuclear attack.
Oh, wow. I didn't know about that one.
Okay.
Okay, so when, let's say the tornado, that there's conditions right before a tornado. Talk about the siren process then.
Okay. Typically we get tornado watches before warnings. That's just conditions are right for tornadoes. So that's when we all get ready for the tornadoes, and we don't sound the sirens at that time. We only sound the sirens if the National Weather Service here in Tulsa issues a tornado warning that will include the our warning area as the impact area. That's basically all the city of Tulsa and some of the county south and west of the city and some of the county north of the city. If they sound that warning that we have, boy, let me back up and start over. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If the National Weather Service issues that alert, then we make the decision to activate our warning system. At that time, we activate the encoder, and that sounds all the sirens for 3 minutes on, 1 minute off, and then 3 minutes on. So we actually have a 7-minute cycle each time we sound the sirens. As part of that, we have the ability to sound different quadrants of the city. We can sound the north half, the south half, the east half, the west half. We can also sound the four quadrants of the city. We could also sound individual sirens if we chose to do so.
Okay, so let's say that there are 70 miles, 70 or 80 miles?
80 mile per hour winds.
80 mile per hour winds, but then there's also a tornado warning. How would you differentiate, how should people differentiate between the two?
Okay, that's the reason we encourage everyone to have NOAA weather radios. Keep in mind that the sirens are the last ditch effort to give someone warning about tornadoes. And it's our greatest hope that no one is surprised when we activate the tornado sirens. We hope that they're keeping up with the weather, they're taking advantage of their NOAA weather radios, the broadcast media, all the special services out there offered over your phones and computers that you can get to take advantage of getting this information. That's why it's very important for people to monitor all that other media in addition to being aware as to what the sirens do, so they can have that specific information as to whether or not this is a tornado and or high winds. Technically, our sirens themselves don't differentiate between the two.
And how do you test your sirens and make sure that also they're able to be heard, basically? Okay. We do a live test every Wednesday at noon, weather permitting, meaning if storms are threatening, we don't sound the sirens. If we've had a severe storm the night before and maybe sounded the sirens for real on a Tuesday night, we don't test them on Wednesday. We do not want to upset the public. But normally we sound the sirens at noon on Wednesdays to test them. We also do silent tests throughout the week, various times during the week where the sirens do everything but emit the tone. We send out the signal, the sirens check back in, we get a computer printout showing which sirens checked in successfully and which ones did not. The technicians at the radio shop get that report, and they literally go out in the bucket truck and work on the sirens. So typically, one, maybe two sirens might have a problem, but our success rate is very good on knowing our sirens are going to sound. And do you have any other safety weather tips that you would like to share?
Yes. When it comes to tornadoes, just as I'd said earlier, please take weather warnings seriously. Here in Tulsa, we've been very fortunate for a number of years. We've not had a major tornado impact. We've seen the effects of Joplin. Just recently, my goodness, the 2 days after Joplin, Oklahoma City area got hit, we were in between those two systems. We're one storm away from having a major tornado event, so please take the warning process seriously. Know where you're going to go. don't plan on driving a great distance to get to shelter. You've got to be able to shelter basically where you're at. So be familiar with your options, take advantage of the knowledge that's out there, and please, please treat this seriously.
Well, first of all, the storm sirens that are in the area in Stillwater are just for Stillwater. The people that happen to live in the county that get the benefit of being able to hear them, that's just a byproduct. They're actually made for the corporate city limits and any city property. So when we activate the storm sirens, that means that there is a tornado threat that is impending to the city of Stillwater, and we want the citizens of Stillwater to take cover immediately.
No. Okay, so tell me why the city of Stillwater chose the talking sirens over just the regular sounding sirens.
Well, the original sirens that we had back in the late 60s and early 70s and even into the 80s, they were mechanically driven. They were controlled by radio, mechanically driven, so they basically forced air across some reeds and it made the noise. The new sirens, they run off of batteries. So the new sirens are electronic, and with the electronic we're able to tap into those horns or drivers, and we're able to communicate verbally across the storm sirens. It's not something that when we bought the sirens that we were actually looking for, but it's something that we've decided to start using as a safety feature so that people know that the storm sirens haven't accidentally malfunctioned and that it is a real emergency.
I really like that. So whenever the siren does sound, that is someone talking live.
That's a live person, it's not recorded. Because if we had it set to record to play a recorded message upon activation, it would go out with a malfunction.
So it's a live person.
It's a live person.
Who is designated to talk?
Well, anybody in the emergency management staff for the city of Stillwater, OSU Emergency Management, and the OSU Police Department, they can all activate those storm sirens either for campus, for Stillwater, or for any various zone that we have set up. All they do is they activate the storm sirens and then they follow it up with what the emergency is.
That's really great. How closely do you work with the Stillwater Emergency Management? Just explain that.
How closely do I work with them?
Yeah.
Do you mean OSU Emergency Management?
Yes.
We work very closely with OSU Emergency Management. Because OSU is actually basically a small community within a community, a lot of the assets that we have will respond to emergencies on campus, and vice versa. A lot of things that we have happen in the city will call on assets from Oklahoma State University. So we work very closely. Because storm season for Stillwater in Oklahoma is basically 12 months out of the year. We have experienced a tornado, I think, in every month of the calendar year. Not necessarily in Stillwater, but in Oklahoma. And when the storm sirens sound in Stillwater, now I'm only speaking for Stillwater because there are other plans, there are other procedures and protocols for other communities, but just specifically to Stillwater, when they sound, it means take cover immediately. Doesn't mean you have 5 minutes, doesn't mean you have 10 minutes, because even though a lot of the times we do activate as early as possible to give people as much time as possible to get to cover, it's not the time to go out and get in your vehicle. It's not the time to go get in your vehicle and try to drive to cover. It's too late for that. We need you to get in, get down, and get low and cover up. And that's what we're wanting people to do. We do not just sound the storm sirens based on a radar-detected tornado. We have storm spotters that go out in the field, and we actually make sure that we have a threat that could actually do damage. So if we have a wall cloud and has a rotating funnel on it, that's very much something that we're going to alert for. If we have a tornado, that's something we're going to alert for. If we have a storm system that moves through the area that has a wall cloud with the possibility of producing a tornado and has produced in the past, that's something that we're going to alert for. So a lot of people have a misconception that they have 10 to 15 minutes when a tornado siren goes off, and that is not true, because a storm may just all of a sudden produce a tornado right over the center part of town, and when we hit the storm sirens, it went from a matter of minutes to a matter of seconds that we need people to take cover.
And did you sound them last night?
We did not.
You did not.
We did not sound them.
Okay. And how many? Do you know any? Oh, wait, let's ask never mind. How often do you test them? Because I know that Tulsa has a huge testing procedure that we went through. So.
We test the storm sirens once a month. A lot of locations, they test them every week. We test ours once a month, and it's the first Tuesday of every month at 11:30. If the weather's cloudy, it's overcast, could give a false impression that there's an emergency, we will fall over to the next Thursday. And then if it doesn't allow then we'll go to the next Tuesday. And there have been times where we've tested the last Thursday of the month and then tested the next Tuesday. So we try to do it when it does not cause false alarms or cause people to panic because they're not sure if it's a real emergency or if it's just a test.
Any last comments you would like to add?
I can tell you there's 55 sites in the city of Stillwater and on OSU property. There's 47 that the city maintains, and then the rest are maintained by the OSU campus. They're battery driven. They have an onboard charger, so they do not have to have utility power to operate. They'll run continuously for about 3 minutes, and then they will automatically turn themselves off, and we have to reactivate them. So if we have let's say we have a 30-minute event, they'll get activated 3 times in that 30-minute event. So they'll run for 3 minutes, we'll wait 10, run for 3, wait 10, and run for 3. Also, we do not blow an all clear. A lot of people think and are still under the impression that there's an all clear. We do not do that. When the storm siren stops sounding, you have to wait for a few minutes, at least 10 minutes, before you want to try to come out of cover because, like I just told you, we run them for 3, wait for 10, run them for 3. What we will do is through KOSU, through KSBI, through Team Radio, through the local radio outlets, we will have them make the all clear announcement for us so that people listening to the radio, like we encourage. Also, the National Weather Service on the NOAA weather radios, they will also let people know when a threat has moved out of the area just by listening to the weather broadcasts.